We should in spring. And then we should be ready for that in the summer, I would hope.
Yes.
And then our 2027-29 project. And what that is broken down into two sections. We'll start in 27, and then we'll do the next part in 29. But a project this large anyway, it's probably gonna take a year and a half, 2 years anyway. Well, what's good is since we started into 27, we can kind of already start to get bids and everything in leading up to that 29, so we'll be ready to fire as opposed to waiting. So what's the overview? Well, the overview is $29.6 million. Capital reserve, come on. You're up next, you're gonna present. Capital reserve of $2 million. Use, a tax levy increase of 0, and our aid is 91%. So between the debt fall off, and the 91% and the capital reserve, it comes to a tax levy increase of 0. The timeline will begin again spring of 27, and then we should be complete by the summer of 2030, 2 parts. Again, we're able to maximize this because of a bunch of factors, but boy, everything had to fit. And as you guys know, as we were going through this process, it was a lot of shifting around, moving around, working with state ed, convincing state ed that some of this should be shifting and some of the costs should be shifting. And it kind of worked out for us, which is great. So what's the scope of it right now? This is kind of how it breaks down. About $11.6 million into the East Hill complex, middle school, $17 million to the high school, and just about $1 million to the bus garage transportation facility. Considering that the high school cost $19 million back in 2000, we're spending $17 million in just upgrades and fixing things. There's a 60% add-on to the base cost due to the unknowns and the tariffs and everything else. So it is extremely cautious, but needed. I talked to the superintendent down in South Colony, who they were doing a $120 million project. They built in 45% in their costs, and they're going over. So he wished now, but they didn't know 2 years ago when they did theirs that it would turn into this. So they're getting into a danger zone at this point of $120 million. And just to kind of go off on a dovetail a little bit on that, they are asking the taxpayers to cover $47 million. And we have been very fortunate enough to cover, our taxpayers covered none in all the projects since we've done the school up here. There's 2 alternate components at the high school. It has to do with some of the sidewalk and the fencing up at the tennis courts. Those are alternates, those are things that kind of fell into the medium range. But with a project this big and 60% built-in costs, we hope that there's enough funds left at the end to finish those 2 things. Pretty much the overview of what we're doing at the East Hill complex. Remember, we're also doing a $14 million project with the geothermal. Some stuff will be done as well down there. And just to kind of put things in the context, between the roofs, the HVAC systems, and the driveways and the parking lots is $18.2 million of this project. So 70% of it is just wrapped up into that. And you can kind of see here all of the pieces per se. If you want a detailed list of everything, it's in the presentation tonight. And you can look at every detail down the line of each building. The high school, again, rooftop and skylight replacements, finishing upgrades, auditorium seat replacement. That's 20. By the time we start, this will be 27 years since there's been the new seats put in there. Plumbing upgrades, electrical upgrades, rooftops, and air handling system units. There's also a fire alarm system replacement going into the East Hill Middle School and High School complex as well. We're getting to the point now where that fire alarm system, some of the parts we can't get anymore because the company that put it in is no longer in existence. Here's the bus garage, some updates there. And we are currently doing a capital outlay project there, finishing some floors this year. So there's a little bit of buffer in there as well for them. So probably just over $1 million really for the bus garage between the capital outlay and this. Fire alarm system may be a possible alternate. That one's not as old and not as bad. So we might be able to keep that and use transportation aid later for that. And just some frequently asked questions that we hear all the time. Isn't state aid still tax dollars? That's in a general way you can say that for sure. Because everybody pays for something somewhere along the line. But we get 91% aid, and we're going to take full advantage of that. It'd be like anything else. If you gave me $1 and I gave you 91 cents back, you'd be happy, right? If you would invest in anything and give you 91 cents back, right? So same thing here. How does the district figure out what it needs to upgrade or be fixed? We kind of went through that with the process, building condition survey, looking at lists and to make sure it all fits with the dollar amount and the allowance. Since the district is looking at a potential merger, why do a capital project now? Well, one, we don't know that merger is going to happen. Two, we hope to use all the buildings and repurpose them. And three, we still have a going concern of we have to keep buildings open. So we wouldn't want to take a chance and find out in 3 or 4 years that we're not going to merge, next year we're not going to merge and then have to go out another 2 years or 3 years to do another project. Why doesn't the district include some funds in the annual budget each year? Because it wouldn't be aided. So for example, if you decided to take $1 million out of a fund balance and say, hey, let's do 5 air handling units, you could do that, but you wouldn't get the 91% aid on it. Our vote is December 4th from 12 to 8. Who can vote? 18 years or older, Kansas area resident, at least 30 days prior to the vote. Absentee ballots, call the main office, just kind of too late now. And then just a quote, you all know this, so I'm singing to the choir here for the most part. Our facilities are more than just buildings, they're active centers of our community life. We open up doors not only for our students and faculty and staff, but the community as well. And these spaces foster connection, wellness, and shared experiences for everyone in our community. We invest in these spaces because people use them. And it's kind of an epicenter of our community. So by upgrading this for our students and our staff and our faculty, we upgrade for the community too. So that's pretty much it. Questions? You guys have all been vetted this out along the process. I think, Mark's been a part of it. I think, Mark, you're happy with King and King, I think, right? Very thorough, very good with follow-up, and they have everything in for the $100,000 project already this year too, which is kind of nice. We usually had to wait till April or May for that to happen. So that's done too, Hickey. So that's pretty much it. Haven't heard too much in the community, good, bad, or indifferent. I had one person post on our Facebook about, there goes our taxes going up. So I called him on the phone, explained it, and then he posted underneath. But that supervisor is excellent. You're in good hands up there, and we're all set. So it was a nice Sunday night phone conversation. Kind of taken back that I called him, but it was a good conversation. It just showed again to explain to people how it works. And he's getting frustrated because he was starting to talk about what's happening with the local communities and the price increases and the tax increases. And then, he said, did you see my utility bill? And I said, well, I wish I could help you with your utility bill, but I can't. And, but we're trying to keep this to a zero tax impact for you. And he understood it. So very few people go back on Facebook and cut a reprieve on there. And he did that, which is kind of nice. And somebody else underneath put something too, which is kind of nice. So we're pitching in. Any other questions? Keith threw a part of it too. I think King did a really nice job.
Great job.
Yeah, and I think this was vetted out enough where, we're fixing what we need to fix, and we're looking at some, a couple new items like the bathrooms down near the fields, which everyone's been clamoring for years, and the turf field, which you can never put a field in like that in your $7 million projects because you have too much to do. This was, we were able to kind of fit this in because it's 29 or almost $30 million. And when you take the 91% out, it costs us $235,000 to put that field in. So, and for a community like us where we have our youth programs using, again, a lot of our fields, we have a water retention problem at the soccer field. We won't have to worry about canceling the soccer game, or moving soccer games anymore. They can just go there if they need to, so kind of a win-win. And we're not a school that uses it for field hockey, lacrosse. So I think it'll get extended time than over the 10 or 12 years that it usually has, so. Any other questions? Any questions? All right. Sounds good. We're all set.
Thank you.
Oh, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.